Let me start by saying this. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't scream or throw plates or betray him in some dramatic, headline-worthy way. All I said was, asterisk, I need a little space to find myself. Asterisk, and for that, I came home to locked doors and a suitcase waiting on the porch like I was some passing stranger. But it didn't begin like that. Not even close. We were happy, or at least I thought we were. I met Ryan when I was 24. He was the kind of man you meet after years of falling for boys who love the chase, but not the commitment. He was steady, present. He texted back without games. Remember my coffee order. Showed up when he said he would. After years of dating ghosts in human form, his consistency felt like peace. I mistook that for passion. We moved in together after a year. Married in 3. A timeline that made sense. Logical. Clean. We had a nice apartment. Stable jobs, Sunday grocery trips. Shared Spotify playlists that somehow mirrored our moods. To the outside world, we were doing everything right. But beneath the polished surface, I was slowly losing pieces of myself. Not because Ryan took them, but because I had never figured out who I was before I gave him everything. I folded into his world like soft laundry. And for a while, I called it our life. Until one day, I looked around and realized I couldn't see myself in it anymore. I wasn't angry at him. I wasn't resentful, not at first. It started in the smallest ways. The silence between us during movie nights. The predictability of our routines. The way his shoes always waited by the door like punctuation marks on an unfinished sentence. I started to journal again. I took long walks without telling him where I was going. I'd sit in cafes, pretending to be someone else. Anonymous. Free. One evening, I finally said it. Asterisk, Ryan, I think I need some space. Asterisk, he looked up from his laptop, brow furrowed. Asterisk, what do you mean? Like a break? Asterisk, no. I replied quickly. Asterisk, not a break. Just space. I need to figure myself out. Think. Maybe stay with Marissa for a week or 2. Asterisk, I thought he'd understand. He always said he admired my self-awareness. But instead, he stared at me like I poured gasoline on everything we built and lit a match. Asterisk, so you're leaving? Asterisk, he asked. Asterisk, no. I'm not leaving you. I'm trying to find me. There's a difference. Asterisk, he didn't argue, just nodded slowly and returned to his laptop, like I hadn't just whispered a fault line into the floor between us. I felt a twist in my stomach. But I mistook it for guilt, not regret. The next morning, I packed a small bag, texted him from the driveway that I'd call when I got to Marissa's, but I never made it. Instead, I stopped at a bookstore, bought a journal and 2 poetry collections. I sat in my car in the parking lot for over an hour, unsure, not running from Ryan, just trying to stop disappearing into him. Eventually, I drove back, told myself I'd explain it better, reassure him, smooth over the cracks. But when I pulled into the driveway, my key didn't fit. I stood there, staring at the lock like it had forgotten me. Tried it again, jiggled it, knocked, nothing. Then my phone buzzed. One new message from Ryan. Asterisk, you wanted space. You got it. Your things are on the porch. Asterisk. I blinked at the screen. Read it again. The suitcase sat next to a folded blanket, and my favorite mug like an afterthought. I stood there, watching my life reduced to luggage. That night, I cried in the backseat of my car, curled around that stupid poetry book like it might hold an answer to the ache hollowing out my chest. Marissa let me stay with her. She tried to help. Maybe he's just hurt, she offered. But deep down I knew this wasn't just about space. Ryan had drawn a line, and I had crossed it. Weeks passed. I texted once. Then again. No response. He vanished. Our Spotify playlist disappeared. The Netflix password stopped working. Mail stopped showing up. It was as if I'd been erased from our life completely. And the worst part? I didn't even know if I'd really done anything wrong. Was it selfish to ask for space? Or was it selfish of him to slam the door the moment I needed to breathe? Months later, I heard from a mutual friend that he was seeing someone new. Simple. Safe. A woman who didn't need space, or journals, or existential questions. I stalked her Instagram like a glutton for pain. She looked easy to love, effortless, like the kind of person who didn't unravel in the quiet. And I began to doubt everything. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I wasn't built for comfort. Maybe I belonged in the chaos where no one expected permanence. But then, almost a year later, I got a call. Blocked number. I almost didn't answer. "Hey," a voice said. It was Ryan. He sounded tired. Older. Or maybe just more real. Asterisk. I just want to say, I get it now. Asterisk. Silence. "I was scared," he continued. Asterisk. "When you said you needed space. All I heard was that you were already gone. So I shut the door before you could walk out." Asterisk. I couldn't speak. I wanted to ask him asterisk. "Why didn't you talk to me?" Asterisk. But I didn't have to, because in that moment I understood. We both had abandonment issues. I had abandoned myself for years. And when I finally tried to reclaim something of my own, he abandoned me. We didn't know how to sit with discomfort. Didn't know how to hold space for each other's growing pains. We didn't get back together. There was no movie ending with rain and kisses and emotional epiphanies. But we talked. Once. Then again a few months later. Not as lovers, but as survivors. Two people who loved in the only ways they knew how, and failed. Now I live in a small apartment with too much sunlight, and a plant I've somehow managed to keep alive. I write more. I breathe more. I still don't know who I fully am. But now, I'm searching with purpose, not panic. Sometimes I think about Ryan. Sometimes I think about how easy it is to confuse comfort with suffocation. How sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay and ask the hard questions. But back then, I didn't know how, and he didn't know how to wait. So now we live in the aftermath. He's moved on, and I live with the echo of a door that slammed shut before I ever had the chance to walk through it.